Okay, we've got the chassis on the bench. I'm just going over some parts here. Actually, it looks all original, which is not a surprise. By the time they got to the 15s, these were pretty reliable sets. These brown drops here in this era typically test okay, unless I see some kind of a physical problem with them. I usually leave them be. I'll go ahead and check them anyway, but I'm not expecting either one. This is part of the horizontal efficiency circuit. They've used a lot of disc caps, which are pretty reliable. Sometimes this resistor here gets hot and chars things up, but that solder looks reasonably good. You can usually tell it's a problem because it looks all crystallized. You don't want to mess with that because that would probably break. This little phenolic board that those terminals are on tends to get crispy. I generally, as a general rule of thumb, replace this. That's a cap that's across the primary of the vertical out. It's usually a high kV, like a 0.001, 2 kV, or 1 kV, or something like that. I believe its primary function is to decouple some of the horizontal pulses that might be work its way through the yoke windings. You know, they're kind of coupled to the vertical windings. It gets back through to secondary, the transformer comes back through. It's a 001, so it decouples the fairly high frequency horizontal pulses without affecting the 60 hertz coming out of the vertical circuit. So I replaced that because I can't really test it effectively, and you know, it's just something I don't want to ever fight line pairing, and that's where usually that I believe can cause that. I see up here we still have the original across the line cap that hasn't blown its guts yet. That's pretty surprising. I'll replace that just because half the time there's a blown, so I don't know why this one isn't, but whatever. It doesn't look like they've switched to the high voltage tap on the transformer. I'll reserve judgment on that until I get it all hooked up and see how it's going. I'm looking now for evidence of problems in the capacitor that might be causing some of that hum. That's a little suspicious looking. I don't know if you can see that, but that's this little black piece of garbage oozing out of the bottom of that. Let me see if I can get an angle on it. Right in there, coming out of that unused slot. So that would be one I would definitely look at. That looks like it could be a filter cap. I'm not 100% sure of that, but probably. This cap looks okay. I don't know about that one up in there. This is the one I was suspecting. I'll definitely check this. That's the doubler cap. But there's some reason why it's getting hum. I did check the voltage, like I said I was going to, and I was getting the correct voltage. So this cap might be okay. It might just be one of these other caps that are partially shorted or not working right that are causing the hum bar that's working its way through the video. Let's see. It's got the old top hat diodes. It's relatively clean looking. It's RCA, and there are copper clad circuit boards. I don't know if you can make out the difference in color. There's the brown. If you scroll over, you see underneath the tubes that brown quickly goes to black. These are generally problem areas. You have to be really careful when you work on these boards because these tube sockets often have heated up the PC board to a point of failure. It's like somebody's done some work here. I see something going on. I'm not sure. It's like a little bit of a leftover. You know, that might have been where they attached that jumper wire. So where it's supposed to be attached, I think, is right in that same area. Or I think, oh, here it's right here. Let me see if I can get the. It's right here, I think, is the correct attachment point. I'm going to flip around and look at the top of the chassis. Bear with me before I flip this around. Okay, here we go. This cap could very well be causing the shortage in the vertical. That's the cathode bypass cap, as well as any of these other caps in this circuit. These are all part of the vertical sweep circuit, and frequently are problems. So What I'll probably do is I'll probably check that cap because that's the most likely suspect. The vertical didn't seem to have a problem, just short, so that's why I think that could be. I mean, if it was way off frequency or something like that, I'd be looking over here. But and if it didn't sync properly and all that, so I think I'll start with that. Here's that wire I'm talking about. See if you can see this little orange and black wire right there. It's kind of just come out of nowhere, and then it's tack soldered to that resistor. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. There's a jumper wire, this yellow wire right, I don't think you're going to be able to see it, right kind of underneath it there is the correct wire. And yes, it's hard to see here in this light, but right there you should see some green corrosion. See a little bit of green? That's the problem right there. So my guess is that they just found a convenient tie point and just jumpered it, because it's definitely going from the same starting point. That yellow wire and that bell wire that you used to see the telephone guys use starts there. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is a very frequent problem with RCAs, is these jumper wires corroding. And if you just tug on that, I'm sure it'll come off. But I'll do it right. I'll get the wire and I'll reroute it and put it in the right spot. I can't stand shoddy workmanship like that. Soldering to it. I mean, it works, but I don't know. It's just a problem I've got with stuff having to be right. Let's see. Overall, the chassis looks pretty good. I mean, it's dusty, but that's to be expected. Dust doesn't really bother me too much as long as I can read the parts. As long as I can read the values. You got to be careful when you get in to start trying to like turn these things into like museum pieces, uber clean. Unless there's some kind of a conductive goo going on, dust is not conductive in and of itself, so you generally don't have to worry about dust. And trying to clean things, you can frequently get in there and break stuff. Trying to get there and be real clean. You can take compressed air and blow it out. That really bothers you, but you know. Oh yeah, this cap here across that's a Black Beauty. You know, I've checked those in the past. I've never had a problem. The horizontal locks seem to be pretty solid, so I'll probably just leave that be. It's across a coil, so there's like no voltage across it, so I don't really think there's a problem. Resistors I've had problems with. I'm trying to remember. Anytime you have a gold resistor, that could always be something you might want to look at. A gold tolerance. Sometimes they have them over here in the chroma circuitry down there. Well, you can't really tell. Now, here's where it'd be nice to clean the dust up. What I'm looking for is evidence of hot power resistors. The fact that the TV's working pretty well means I probably don't have to worry about that though. So we'll get back to this. Here's one other fix I have to deal with. This is one funky looking switch. The way I've never seen one that's held on like that. Usually there's like a solid piece of this thing can actually rotate. It's just held on. It's a pull on, push off. And of course this wire right here broke, primarily because the strain relief wasn't in place. I've since put that in place, so that shouldn't be a problem going forward. Yeah, not a bad set overall. I don't think it's going to present any real problems, but like I said, the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check that cap, and I'll go ahead and check this one anyway because it's easy, even though it looks like it's a replacement. I don't know how old that replacement is. And then I'll go in here, and I'm pretty sure the main filter cap is this one right here, which is a real bear to get at, of course. It's 4 sections, majorly painted rear, but it's also a prime suspect for the hum. I'll have to check, see which one of these is the main one. I think this one up here is part of the it's got a part of the contrast circuit up in there. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it'll be easy to fix, I'm sure. And I'm not going to touch anything that's working, so don't expect a whole lot of work to be done on this chassis. More later.